G'day, it's Ben here and welcome to the Pumped on Property show. Now in today's episode I'm going to be talking about where to next and how to actually plan your future while enjoying the ride. I was having a talk with one of our previous clients and current clients, Maria, yesterday, and she reminded me of myself 12 months ago. Now, Maria's in an incredible financial position. She's been working really hard over the last few years to set herself up, and she's got a home that she's living in. She's built a granny flat on it, which is almost complete. She's also bought a house up in Brisbane, or a block of land, and on that land she's building a house and a granny flat. But why I wanted to record this podcast is because Maria, like myself a year ago, and for every year before that, for the 10 years before that, I just was sort of in this constant state of, I've got to achieve this faster. I've got to be doing stuff. If I'm not busy, I'm not working towards my dreams. I'm not setting up my future. And I was constantly obsessing about what's next, where I've got to be, beating myself up because I wasn't there quick enough. And in the end of it all, as you guys know, it ended up giving me a huge amount of anxiety and, you know, really changed my path. And so I've learned a lot over the last 12 months. I'm going to explain some of those things throughout this podcast, but really by the end of this, I want to help you remember that you can achieve and have every single thing that you want in your life, but you can't always have it at the same time. And once you know what it is that you want to achieve, and once you know what your next step is, or next few steps after that, you don't have to obsess about it every single day. You don't have to think about it all day, every day, like I used to. You don't have to beat yourself up when you don't achieve a part of it. So I really want you to walk away with a clear idea of where you want to be in your future, because I truly believe that our school system and the way that we're structured in our work lives is perfect for us to become subservient, perfect for us to follow orders and do what we're told to do, but absolutely shithouse for us getting ourselves out of the system and creating a life filled with choices and to do those things that you really want to do. This podcast hopefully will help you also not just identify with a bit of clarity about where you want to be in the future, but also, you know, get you asking some of those serious questions which we never talk about, like what truly makes you happy or me happy. And if you didn't have to worry about money, or I didn't have to worry about money, and we didn't have to go to work tomorrow, how would we be actually spending our time? So these are the questions that I've been asking myself for quite a while now, and these are the questions that my wife and I talk about when we get a chance in between the craziness of the 3 kids. And it's really about how to create that passive income for life, but knowing that that's going to take me 15 years to achieve. How do I enjoy every single moment and every day of that journey all the way through? So I'm also recording this one to chuck it onto YouTube, and so you'll be hearing me writing some things in the background. I'm just recording it as a video as well. That's the little pen sound you're hearing in the background. But effectively, the number one thing that I think all of us really want, and the reason we want financial freedom, is so that we have choices. Now, I've talked about this a lot before, but choices enable us to do work we enjoy. Choices enable us to start businesses. Choices enable us to spend more time with our family, more time with our friends. Choices enable us to travel more, which is a huge passion of mine. Choices enable us to do things that are meaningful to us, like volunteer. Choices enable us to drop our kids at school and pick them up in the afternoons. Choices enable us to do incredible things like retrain, leave an industry or a job that we hate, and do something that we truly enjoy. And I think it is so important to lead a life filled with choices. And the reason I like property is because it will give me and my family choices in the future that I wouldn't have if I had to work for the next 15, 20, 30, 40, 50 years. without actually investing my way out of that work and getting caught in that trap of a nicer car, a nicer home, you know, more credit cards, more holidays, more like shit on Instagram that I can post so that like my ego is fulfilled. But what I've figured out, or what I'm trying to find out, is, you know, what does a life look like where you can have all of the benefits of society as it stands today, the nice home, the nice cars, the nice stuff, but a very simple, slower living style life that's balanced, where you also have that presence and that mindfulness to enjoy the time and have the choices that fulfill you. So there's really two parts to this webinar. Now, the first part is about planning your future, and so many of us walk through life without a clear plan and without having a plan for what it is that we want to achieve or where it is that we want to be in the future. We kind of just drift aimlessly through the water, or being carried along by the wind, or being told what to do and what our future is going to look like from our boss or from our partner or from our family or our friends, and never really identifying what's important to us and what is going to make us truly happy. Now, the second phase after the planning phase is enjoying the ride, because as soon as you finish the planning and you know where it is that you're going, that's over. You can get straight back into enjoying the moment, enjoying the day. And I'm going to talk a lot about that, because that has been the biggest breakthrough for me as a very, very high achieving personality type in my life recently. Now, planning is super, super simple, but people make it really, really hard for no reason. Now, I like to start with a 15-year plan. Of course, that plan is going to change over the next 15 years. I have no idea where I'm going to end up in 15 years, but it's a loose idea of my future. Now, what I know, and the question that I ask myself when I'm sitting down to do this, is very, very simple. What would an ideal day or week look like in the future for me? So I go 15 years from today. And for me, it's quite simple, and I'm sure it's quite simple for you too. It's a life without being scared. It's a life without having to worry about money on a daily basis or an annual basis, or wherever your situation is right now. It's a life where money comes into me passively without me having to actively go out there and do anything for it, and that provides not just all of my base necessities, but the lifestyle that I want to lead at that time. Now, my life in 15 years looks pretty much the same way that it does now, spending good quality time with my friends and family, traveling more with Lisa. Hopefully Lisa's still in my life and we're still kicking goals together and enjoying ourselves, and looking after myself physically, mentally, and now spiritually, as that becomes a bigger part of my world, not in the way of it being like churchy or whatever, more in the way of just a realization that there's a hell of a lot more going on around us than I gave credit for a long period of time. Now, a 15-year plan isn't so much setting a goal, although the one goal I do want you to set is exactly how much passive income 15 years or 20 years from today do you want. Now, you could call this an insurance policy in your own future so that you don't end up broke or on the pension. You could consider this something that you're going to set yourself up so that you can set your future family up for, or it's just something good that you can do for yourself. Now, I would suggest that if you don't have a number in mind, just start with exactly how much you're earning right now, or exactly how much you and your partner, if you have one, are earning today. Now, that's a pretty simple, number to put out there. It's a pretty simple goal to have. And then after I've got that clear goal about the money, all I really do from there is write about a one-pager, and it's not in dot point form. It's just like me free thinking about what an ideal day or week would look like at that time and how I'd be spending my time, making me happy at that point. Now, the reason why you need the more sort of smart goal or the more pointy goal of this is how much passive income I want is because our brains are problem-solving machines, and they will figure out a way for you to achieve what it is that you need to achieve if you follow through with it. The reason I've also got the softer side, which is the one page in terms of what my day would look like, is to get through all the shit that you're going to have to get through in the next 15 years. you really do need to have a nice, lofty, ideal lifestyle that you can be pulled towards rather than pushing yourself towards it. So like I said, to me, it's all about choices in the future. I've got a lot of those choices in my life today. For years and years and years, I didn't think I did, but I do have those choices because I'm the one in control of the choices in my life. And I've been reading a cool little book I picked up in Sydney the other day called The Daily Stoic, and it's kind of like that stoic way of thinking. A couple of my clients are sort of into that way of thinking too, and they've got me onto it. And it is just a concept of knowing there's a bigger thing going on, but all we can ultimately control are the things that are within our control, which is effectively our minds and the choices that we make on a daily basis. And, you know, having belief that you're going to achieve what you want to achieve, even if it's not completely clear today what it is that you want. So in the planning phase, I do my 15-year hard goal, and then I do my softer, you know, ideal life. And then what I do is I go to the next 12 months. Because, you know, over a 12-month period of time, a lot of people are also really shit out at setting 12-month goals, which is why for years and years and years, so many of us think that our life is going sideways or not really going forward. But it's just because we're not setting realistic 12-month goals that are enabling us to achieve that bigger picture. Now, your goal in the next 12 months, if you don't already own the assets, whether that's shares or property or businesses that are gonna make you financially free in the future, for me that's 15 years, for you it might be 5, it might be 10, it might be 30 years, whatever it is for you, that's cool. But the 12-month goal has to link directly into getting you closer to where you wanna be. And it is really that simple. Like for me, my goals in the next 12 months, like I've talked about on camera before, are quite soft. I said I didn't want to buy a property this year, but my wife and I just bought one. It looks really, really interesting to us, and it was just too good for us to pass up. Our other goal outside of that is to just continue paying down debt on the properties that we own at the moment. So they're sort of my financial goals. So, you know, because I now have broken that into 2 phases, of effectively paying off debt goal and a property goal, it's really, really easy to identify the next step from there, which effectively is, for me, how much a week am I going to pay myself out of my business to pay off some debt? And, you know, in terms of where we're at with this property, it's a big piece of land. We're going to build a house and a granny flat on it. So for us, it's really about going through, firstly, the site plan and the design, then getting a contract in place, then building it, then getting it rented out. It's really that simple. And so the next 12 months, because of those 2 decisions, they're the financial ones in my life. It's pretty much, I know what's next and I don't have to stress on it. Now, what I used to do, which was really, really toxic and unhealthy for me, was I would set this bigger picture 15-year plan, and I would set my 12-month goals, and then I would constantly, I'm talking about constantly, think about them, try and tweak them, change them, play with them, stress myself out with them, you know, just waste time talking about them and thinking about them. Now, I know what my 12-month goal is before I start the year. I always do this in the first week of January. And then I just let it happen, because I know that humans, and me personally, and probably you as well, are just sort of like heat-seeking missiles. And once we know what we want, we just get out of the way and let it happen. And I always know what my next little step is, and I just focus on that one little step on that day or that week or that month, and that enables me to get to the bigger picture. So planning is super, super important. Get an idea of the big picture, identify where you want to be in 12 months, and then stop making excuses and just get on with it. In the Daily Stoic, the book that I've read, which I've just grabbed, the title of the page, it's really, really simple, is "Did that make you feel better?" And it says, from Seneca, who was alive like literally 2,000 years ago in ancient Greek, said, "You cry, I'm suffering in pain. Are you then relieved from feeling it if you bear it in an unmanly way?" Now, obviously it's an old word, but the person's opinion, you know, because that's what I like about this book, you get the quote and then the opinion. It's like the next time someone gets upset near you, crying, yelling, breaking down, Watch how quickly this statement stops them cold when you say, I hope this is making you feel better. The reason I love Stoicism, and I'm obviously green and just getting started with it, is these little things are coming into my life every day. Like, you know, for me, I battled with a lot of anxiety last year, and I've come through it, and I'm feeling a lot better on a daily basis now than I was at that time, because I've put in the time and work to actually deal with what was going on. But you know, for years and years and years, I was crying, why is this happening to me? Why am I not there faster? I was my own worst enemy. I was just bitching to myself in the mirror about the fact that I'm not getting paid enough, or that I don't like my job, or that I'm not financially free yet, or that I was obsessing so much about these goals in the future that it was literally driving me fucking crazy. Like, that was where I was at. And I listened to so many clients I talked to, and they're just, you know, so on it all the time that they're just putting massive amounts of pressure and wasted energy on this planning phase. Now, the planning for me, it took me literally 15 minutes to write down what my ideal day would look like in the future in 15 years' time. And it took me 1 second to go, this is my current annual income, which is even more than I need in 15 years' time. There's absolutely no reason, after all of my kids go through school, that I need to earn as much money as I've been earning. So my goal is like, you know, half of my current wage would be amazing in 15 years' time. The 12-month goal was super simple as well. It took me a little bit longer. It took me about 30 minutes to plan this year. And it was just simple. Like, I looked at what I value in my life: family, friends, having fun, business, and wealth creation. That's simple. And so for my business, I said, this is my goal. And the weirdest thing is, my goal is only 40% of the business that I did last year. Like, we're literally have made a decision to do less so that we can be more present and enjoy our year in a bigger way at Pumped On Property, which is crazy to a lot of people, but it doesn't always have to be more, I've realized. You know, in my wealth creation side of my life, I just said, I'm going to pay off some debt, and I've bought this property, which was a bit unexpected. It sort of all happened in a couple of days, but when you know, right? Especially if you know. In my family side of things, I just said I want to be present this year. And from my friends, I just said I actually want to be a good friend this year and make more time to hang out with the people I care about. It is that simple. Now, there's another thing that I forgot to put in there, which is health. And this year, rather than beating myself up about how many times I get to the gym a week or how much activity I do, I just set a goal of moving every day. Sometimes that's tinkering around in the garden, sometimes it's, you know, yoga, sometimes it's gym, sometimes it's playing soccer or surfing. Whatever that looks like, you know, that's a pretty simple thing. And that took me 30 minutes. It shouldn't have. Like, speaking it out, it probably should have taken me 5. But, you know, I wanted to be thoughtful this year, and instead of loading my plate up with 50 different things I needed to do and all these big goals, it's just really, really, really simple and clear. And that's as much time as I'm spending on planning anymore. Like, outside of that, I really am not wasting any emotional energy living in that particular future, because what good is it going to be for me to spend time today thinking about that when I can just actually get on with the next thing that I'm supposed to be doing? Which, you know, takes me to the second thing I wanted to talk about, and that is enjoying the journey. Now, regardless of where you are, because I've been in both positions, if it's just getting started, or if you've gone all the way through it and then you realize that when you get there it's not quite what you expected it to be, you are somewhere right now. Now, I thought for a long, long time, and so many investors and business people and employees that I speak to feel the exact same way about this. And that is this one thought, which is, I will be happy when, fill in the blank. I will be happy when I'm financially free, when I save a deposit, when I pay off some more debt, when I rent out my property, when I buy my property, when I start my business, when I go on that trip, when I don't have to work as much, when I can spend more time with my kids. Like, there's thousands of whens, and I was living in that. I was constantly living in the future, and that eventually created anxiety in my life, because anxiety is living in the future, and I honestly believe depression is living in the past. And I just didn't want that in my life anymore. But at the time when it came up, I didn't know how to deal with it. But because I'm a pragmatic person, I don't even know if that's the right word. I think what I mean is like a person that just gets on with stuff and actually tries to figure it out rather than burying my head in the sand. I went and saw the psychologist. I talked to friends who had been through anxiety and depression. I read the books, and day by day I did the activities which have made my mind a lot stronger, a lot more stable. And I still do the work. Like, I still go and see the psych once a month or once every fortnight just to check in. It's kind of like looking after my mind. It's kind of like once a fortnight you cut the grass on your lawn. You know, why not have a meaningful conversation with someone who actually can help you and figure some of the stuff out. Now, I'm not saying everyone needs a psychologist, but for me, I just found it really helpful to take off some of that pressure that I'd built up. Now, I don't know where that pressure came from, you know, for you or for me. For me, it might have come from, you know, growing up broke. It might have come from wanting to achieve something meaningful in my life. It might have come from wanting to impress other people and actually own the business or own the properties or own the nice home. Like, that's where those thoughts originated, but they came out over time in really, really destructive ways around planning and setting too many projects in motion at one time and stressing out and dealing with things in an unhealthy way. So, you know, whatever that when is for you, like that moment in the future that you'll be happy if you do something, I just want to pop that bubble right now. And my former self would have been like, F you, Ben, like, you know, you just talk about you, dude, but my situation's so different. And I would have believed myself when I was saying that too. But, you know, the bubble that I think we need to pop is, and that nobody else is talking about, is when you get to that point, you're going to be exactly the same person. And that thing that you've built up to be the, you know, the crowning jewel or the big thing that's going to change your life is not going to change a single thing. And on that exact day, you'll probably feel exactly the same as you do right now. And that is, you know, excited or happy or whatever the emotional moment of the time is, or lost or fearful, or all of that stuff for the, you know, 10,000 days that you lived before that will feel exactly the same way on that day. And I'm so grateful that I learned that lesson at 30 years of age. And now I know that the things that I do and the things that I am and the things that my ego attached to are not going to make me any happier. I can just get on with actually living my life now and letting go of those pressures and stress. So enjoying the journey for me starts with properly planning so that you can stop wasting energy not knowing where you're going. And then once you know where you're going, stop obsessing about where you're going and just get on with the immediate next step in front of you. For me, as an investor and a business person and a parent, another thing that's been really, really helpful in terms of helping me enjoy the journey is just being more present and being more connected to the moment that I'm in, because that is really the only moment I've found that I have any influence over that isn't causing me anything negative or any sort of suffering, because living in the past or living in the future isn't really serving me being a good dad today, a good business owner, a good investor, and, you know, by slowing things down. And that's another huge thing that I've learned from the journey, is that more busyness, more expenses, more stuff, more mental anxiety, more, you know, people in your life that aren't necessarily good for where it is that you want to be right now, you know, don't necessarily mean more quality of life. Like my wife and I just finished reading a book called Slow, and in this book, it is just simply about slowing the hell down. Like, our society is just so built on more. And sometimes it's about going, you know, less is more. Like, can you cut 30% out of the costs of your life this year? And instead of, you know, going to work 5 days a week, you can decide to go to work next year 4 days a week because you don't have the expenses in your life anymore. Or can you change your working environment so that it better supports you as a person, as a mum or a dad, as a friend, as an investor, to actually prioritize some meaningful time around setting up your financial future? So enjoying the journey has been a lot about bringing myself back into the present moment and acknowledging that it's not all going to happen today, that it's not all going to happen this year, but over the course of time, I can have whatever it is that I want in my life, and you can 100% have that in yours as well. Another key thing as an investor that's helped me understand these sorts of things, or get a better perspective and enjoy my day, you know, more regularly, because everybody has shit days and good days, like that's human nature, or shit moments and great moments. But a big thing that's helped me enjoy the journey was sitting down and getting honest with myself. Now, this was really hard for me to do because I've got so many personal biases that I actually had to pick up a book called The Happiness Trap. And there's a chapter on values and identifying what it is that you value. And I've talked about this before in podcasts and videos, but I believe a meaningful day-to-day life is a day when your daily actions completely align with your deepest values inside. Now, for a long time, my values were so twisted with, you know, that's the language they use in this book, with what is actually important to me. I thought that to be a good mate, I had to go out and get drunk with my mates once a month. And I used to feel like anxiety for the week before and, you know, almost depression for the week after, because drinking to me is fine, but you know, having 20 beers in a night is not fine for me. It's like actually the opposite of fine. And so, you know, I did that for a long time because I wanted to be, you know, one of the boys still. I wanted to be accepted by the friends in my life that still did that. But as I've pulled away from that, and other friends have pulled away from that at the same time, it's sort of replacing things with better quality habits. So I don't know why I talked about that. It's probably like really off par, but that was more around the values twisting. What I have found from identifying what my true values are for the first time in my life is I really only care about a few things. It's super simple when you just reduce your inside feelings to the simplest form. Now for me, it's family and friends. It's creating wealth and helping other people through serving them. And one of the ways I get to do this is through this podcast and through my videos. And looking after myself mentally, physically and spiritually, it's that simple. So on a day-to-day basis now, where the average person's faced with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of decisions, mine are just so simple. I know where I want to be in 15 years. I know where I want to be in 12 months. I know that to get there, I need to be present today. And to have a great day, I just have to live my values, and which means sometimes doing cool work that I really enjoy, sometimes spending time with my family, sometimes training or looking after myself and figuring out this life that I'm going through. But, you know, enjoying the journey has actually been a lot simpler than I thought it would be. I put all this pressure on my perfect life before I knew any of this stuff. You know, I needed cars, or I needed houses, or I needed to be completely debt-free on every property, or I needed to own my own home outright, or I needed to do this, or I needed to do that, or I'd be happy when this happened type thinking. And what I've realized is the more simplistically I live my life, the more I focus on breathing, the more I focus on setting up my day in the right way, which for me means stretching or yoga, an epic smoothie, spending some time with my family, and then getting into my work day, like the better I feel. And the more often I feel this way of being good on a day-to-day basis, the easier money's coming into my life, the higher quality people are coming into my life, and the more as an investor I'm moving towards what it is that I want. I'm paying down debt faster because I don't have all of these crazy expenses that I don't need. I'm choosing not to just be busy for the sake of it, and instead of taking on 15 clients a month like we did for so many years on end, I'm making decisions as, hey, this month I only feel like working with 5 great people. We're still going to talk to 60 or 80 of them, but let's just help all those people and let's really pick the people that align with us. And it's just such a weird way for someone in real estate to think. I think, like, I don't get to talk with heaps of other people in the industry, but I really like that I'm able to communicate with this with you guys. Like, you know, I hope this is okay, because it is just me being super vulnerable. Like, instead of starting another business around talking about this stuff, I believe that, you know, like me, you are sitting there and you're not just your job. You're not just your investments. You're not just the plan that you have for your future. You're not just your past. You're not just a mum or a dad or a single person. Like, we're a whole lot of things. And I think I never had that. Like, when I was reading my journey, the books that I was aspiring to was like 0 to 100 plus properties in 3 years or whatever it is. Like, how to own 10 properties in 10 years. All of these people were like so different than the way that I thought. But because that's all I could read, like Confessions of a Real Estate Millionaire, like how to save money on tax, they were just so one-dimensional around this one thing, which was investing, that I thought that had to become me. Like, I didn't realize for the last 9 years that I could just be fully present, not have mental anxiety, get rid of my fear, not get stressed out about stuff, and still be a successful business person or a successful employee, or invest in really high quality properties. I didn't realize that I didn't have to spend 60 to 80 weeks working on my business or my job, or obsessing about property non-stop with every single moment of daytime that I had that I wasn't working. You know, I didn't need to do it that way, and you don't need to do it that way either. Like, I think we can both enjoy our journeys over the next 15 years, and we can still smash it financially, and that's really what I'm trying to get across. And because I'm here today and there's no one moderating me, I hope this isn't coming across too preachy or motivationally, because that is the last thing I want. Like, I'm getting further and further attached or detached from my ego, I suppose, around like wanting to feel good about what I'm doing, and more just like letting what's coming through come through. So, you know, in terms of what's next for you, if you don't already have a financial goal for your future, you need one. You know, otherwise you are going to end up 10, 15 years from now living a life without choices, and probably living someone else's vision for your future. So start with the goal of replacing your salary. Now, of course, you don't know how to do that right now. Like, who knows how to do that unless they've done it? But be confident around your next step after that, which is, you know, now I know my income. What would my ideal day, week, year look like at that time? What would an ideal life look like? I can guarantee you, you're not sitting there going, I want a Lamborghini so that I can like cut laps around the parents from school, drop my kid off in the Lambo, man, and fucking go cut laps around the local beach, and, you know, look at people that are aspiring to that so that I feel like I'm getting massaged. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's not the dream. The dream is to have choices and to actually show up as you every single day for the rest of your life, whatever that you looks like. You know, that's my dream. Like, how do I lead a life where I don't regret it in the future? Like, how do I lead a life where every single day I'm showing up as myself and I get to leave a legacy because I was honest all the way through? Like, that's where I'm coming from. So once you've got the long-term plan in place, you know, if you haven't already got your goals for the next 12 months, stop this podcast like right now and go put your goals in place, man. Like, why don't you have goals for the next 12 months? What are you doing? Like, I'm sure your goal isn't to listen to this podcast in the gym or on the way to work or at night time, and then wake up tomorrow morning with no goal and go back to work again. Like, setting your goals for the next year will take you 15 to 30 minutes, but you're prepared to go to work tomorrow, possibly to a job that you may or may not like. And with commute time and getting ready time and all the crap, 10 hours of your tomorrow is lost. At least tomorrow when you rock up, you know exactly why you're there. And that is to get yourself the hell out of there as quickly as you can, or have the choice to get out there quickly because you are working towards your financial freedom. Now, I've literally done every single job you can imagine. I've been a labourer to a tiler, a gardener, a carpenter, a bricklayer. I've worked in bars, restaurants, cafes. I've literally cleaned people's toilets at festivals and events. I've cleaned bedrooms in hotels. Like, I've done everything that I possibly could to like get to the position that I'm in now, which is choices in my life to do what it is that I enjoy. And sometimes when I was working those jobs, and you know, they were the jobs before I went to uni and during uni when I didn't have the confidence or the skill set to go out and get a good job. And then I went into IBM and went through their graduate program and then into bigger businesses after that. And what I realized is that I didn't really enjoy much of that work. Like, I enjoyed the space, I enjoyed the challenge of learning new things, I enjoyed contributing to a team and being part of a team, I enjoyed the performance side of work, but I didn't love being a one-dimensional person, you know, whether it was making cement for a bricklayer or doing Excel spreadsheets at IBM or selling solar or whatever it is that I've tried to do in the past, like when I was just figuring everything out. But I'll tell you what, it's the day that I found property and I had a plan for my long-term future, which was to get financially free. And I knew that my goal in the next 12 months was to either pay off some debt or save a deposit or renovate a place or build a place or buy a place. Every single day that I went to that job, whether I enjoyed it or not, I knew why I was there, and that was to create financial freedom in my life. So stop avoiding it, sit down and create a 12-month plan. Do it with your partner if you've got one, or do it on your own or with a mate if you don't, or just do it on your own. Like, you know, I like to do it on my own. No, sorry, Lise, but I like to do, that sounded so bad. I just like to sit down and plan myself. And then I like Lisa to throw in her ideas on top of that. And generally, you know, her ideas are exactly what I want to do, and we end up doing those. Sometimes they're way better than what I was thinking anyway, and we just get on with that. But, you know, like, have some fun with it. Have a glass of wine, have a juice, have some water, some kombucha, have a coffee. Whatever your thing is, sit down and make sure you do it, because it's so much fun, you know, knowing where you want to be going. And it just silences all of the doubt in your mind or all of the hardship in your life right now. And so after you've done that, I just recommend enjoying your life after that. Like, just do what it is that you want to do. You know, stop living for someone else. Stop living for what it is that you think you want, and take some time this year or next year or today to figure out what it is that really does make you happy. And I can guarantee it's not more stuff. That's just for your ego. I can guarantee it's not more debt reduction. That's just your fear. I can guarantee it's not any of the things that you think it is. And I think all of us really can achieve like happiness or contentment in a super simple way, but it's just a daily practice. So I feel like I've been rambling for way too long. My brother would have normally cut me off like 40 minutes ago by now. But you know, I just want the best for you. Like, I want to see you smash it. So if you're enjoying this podcast, the Pumped On Property Show, please put a 5-star review on Spotify or iTunes and a little comment. If there's a podcast you'd love me to film or an idea that you have, please chuck it in the comment section and we'll check that out. If it's a good idea, we'll do it. If it's a shit idea, we won't. No, just kidding. You know, I'll put people's questions in if they're really specific and not a full podcast, and maybe we'll do like a questions from, you know, listeners podcast at some point soon, because we've got about 30 or 40 questions already. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us on Facebook, follow us on Instagram, Pumped On Property. It's that simple. You know, and if you are in a position right now where you're seriously thinking you're sick of pulling out your hair because you're stressing out about your next step, you know, take the pressure off yourself. Or if you don't know what your next step is and you're stressing out because of that, I met with an incredible woman this morning and had an amazing chat about, you know, where it is that she is and where it is that she wants to be and stuff that's been going on in her world. And we literally finished the session with her crying because the dots were finally connected for her. Like, she now knows 100% inside herself that she can do it, that she can achieve financial freedom, that she can look after her family. And she also has a complete concrete plan for exactly how she's going to do it. So she can stop, as she said, you know, spending hours and hours and hours obsessing about and thinking about it, you know, and just nipped it in the bud. So if that's where you're at, either of those positions, you want to improve your portfolio or you want to get on with building one, I run a buyer's agency. That's what we do. Jump over to www.pumpedonproperty.com and book in a complimentary strategy session where me or my brother Simon will sit with you and we'll actually listen. Like, we will properly listen to where you are and where you want to be, and then share some different ideas with you in terms of where you want to go and help you identify the right markets or suburbs or all those questions that you've got that no one's prepared to properly answer for you. So that's complimentary. As I said, we're not working with as many people as we used to. Maybe in the future we'll work with more people, but right now that's where I'm at. You know, it's important to me to figure out this stuff and to bed this stuff down for that next chapter of our journey as a business. But I truly do wish you all the best this year and every other year in the future. And remember that just because some people are like living it up on paper doesn't mean that they're happy. And just because some people are living with nothing doesn't mean they're unhappy either. Like, there is a balance in here, which is understanding and planning for your future and just enjoying the journey all the way through as well. So good luck wherever it is that you are right now. I wish you all the best. Sorry for the echoiness in here today. I can hear it bouncing off the walls a bit. I'm just filming at home. But good luck with your journey, and you know, please leave a 5-star review so that, you know, the guys over at Apple know who we are and they can rank our podcast so more people can see it. Cheers, guys.